Welcome, welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, October 6th, Monday, October 7th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. If you're listening live right now, you may be listening to us on Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media. You can also listen to us live on KPNL Radio, which you can find at kpnl.db.com, as well as eTalk Radio, which you can find on etalk.tv/radio. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, feel free to listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. So this evening we are getting back into story time, and I really enjoy story time evenings. I don't know if you do, but I don't know, it's kind of one of my favorite things because it's not really stressful and kind of lay back and relax and read a story for you, listen to a story. Alright, so we are reading Douglas Adams' Mostly Harmless. And so far, it's been pretty good. When we first kicked off with it, I was a bit questionable as far as it was kind of slow getting into it. But yeah, it really seems to be flowing pretty good. Pretty dang good. And generally we stop on chapters, but this chapter was especially long, so let's get back into it. Check something really quick. Okay. Let me know if you can hear the background music. It's a little quiet for me, so I think I'm going to turn it just a little bit. Alrighty. He frowned again at the brochure, as if to be certain that he hadn't misread it and stupidly turned up on the wrong planet or something. The brochure said, "The friendly local inhabitants will be glad to share with you the knowledge and wisdom of the ancients. Peer with them into the swirling mysteries of past and future time." There were some coupons as well, but Arthur had been far too embarrassed actually to cut them out or try to present them to anybody. "Advice, eh?" said the old woman again. "Just sort of general advice, you say? On what? What to do with your life? That sort of thing?" "Yes," said Arthur. "That sort of thing. Bit of a problem I sometimes find, if I'm being perfectly honest." He was trying desperately with tiny darting movements to stay upwind of her. She surprised him by suddenly turning sharply away from him and heading off toward her cave. "You'll have to help me with the photocopier then," she said. "What?" said Arthur. "Photocopier," she repeated patiently. "You'll have to help me drag it out. It's solar powered. You'll have to keep it in the cave, though, so the birds don't shit on it." "I see," said Arthur. "I'd take a few deep breaths if I were you," muttered the old woman as she stomped into the gloom of the cave mouth. Arthur did as she advised. He almost hyperventilated, in fact. When he felt he was ready, he held his breath and followed her in. The photocopier was a big old thing on a rickety trolley. It stood just inside the dim shadows of the cave, The wheels were stuck obstinately in different directions, and the ground was rough and stony. "Go ahead and take a breath outside," said the woman. Arthur was going red in the face trying to help her move the thing. He nodded in relief. If she wasn't going to be embarrassed about it, then neither. He was determined, would he? He stepped outside and took a few breaths, then came back in to do more heaving and pushing. He had to do this quite a few times till at last the machine was outside. The sun beat down on it. The old woman disappeared back into her cave again and brought with her some mottled metal panels, which she connected to the machine to collect the sun's energy. He squinted up into the sky. The sun was quite bright, but the day was hazy and vague. "It'll take a while," she said. Arthur said he was happy to wait. The old woman shrugged and stomped across to the fire. Above it, the contents of the tin can were bubbling away. She poked about at them with a stick. "You won't be wanting any lunch?" she inquired of Arthur. "I've eaten, thanks," said Arthur. "No, really, I've eaten." "I'm sure you had," said the old lady. She stirred with a stick. After a few minutes, she fished a lump of something out, blew on it to cool it a little, and then put it in her mouth. She chewed on it thoughtfully for a bit. Then she hobbled slowly across the pile of dead goat-like things. She spat the lump out onto the pile. She hobbled slowly back to the can. She tried to unhook it from the sort of tripod-like thing that it was hanging from. "Can I help you?" said Arthur, jumping up politely. He hurried over. Together they disengaged the tin from the tripod and carried it awkwardly down the slope that led downward from her cave and toward a line of scrubby and gnarled trees, which marked the edge of a steep but quite shallow gully, from which the whole new range of offensive smells was emanating. "Ready?" said the old woman. "Yes," said Arthur, though he didn't know for what. "1," said the old lady. "2," she said. "3," she added. Arthur realized just in time what she intended. Together they tossed the contents of the tin into the gully. After an hour or two of uncommunicative silence, the old woman decided that the solar panels had absorbed enough sunlight to run the photocopier.
Dad's here.
Okay. Now, and she disappeared to rummage inside her cave. She emerged at last with a few sheaves of paper and fed them through the machine. She handed the copies to Arthur. This is your advice then, is it?" said Arthur, leafing through them uncertainly. "No," said the old lady. "It's the sort of story of my life. You see, the quality of any advice anybody has to offer has to be judged against the quality of life they actually lead. Now, as you look through this document, you'll see that I've underlined all the major decisions I ever made to make them stand out. They're all indexed and cross-referenced. See? All I can suggest is that if you take decisions that are exactly opposite to the sort of decisions that I've taken, then maybe you won't finish up at the end of your life." She paused and filled her lungs for a good shout. "In a smelly old cave like this!" She grabbed up her table tennis bat, rolled up her sleeve, stomped off to her pile of dead goat-like things, and started to set about the flies with vim and vigor. The last village Arthur visited consisted entirely of extremely high poles. They were so high that it wasn't possible to tell from the ground what was on top of them, and Arthur had to climb 3 before he found one that had anything on top of it at all, other than a platform covered with bird droppings. Not an easy task. He went up the poles by climbing on the short wooden pegs that had been hammered into them in slowly ascending spirals. Anybody who was a less diligent tourist than Arthur would have taken a couple of snapshots and sloped right off to the nearest bar and grill. where you also could buy a range of particularly sweet and gooey chocolate cakes to eat in front of the ascetics. But, largely as a result of this, most of the ascetics had gone now. In fact, they had mostly gone and set up lucrative therapy centers on some of the more affluent worlds in the northwest ripple of the galaxy, where the living was easier by a factor of about 17 million, and the chocolate was just fabulous. Most of the ascetics, it turned out, had not known about chocolate before they took up asceticism. Most of the clients who came to their therapy centers knew about it all too well. At the top of the third pole, Arthur stopped for a breather. He was very hot and out of breath, since each pole was about 50 or 60 feet high. The world seemed to swing vigorously around him, but it didn't worry Arthur too much. He knew that, logically, he could not die until he had been to Stavramula Beta, and had therefore managed to cultivate a merry attitude toward extreme personal danger. He felt a little giddy perched 50 feet up in the air on top of a pole, but he dealt with it by eating a sandwich. He was just about to embark on reading the photocopied life history of the Oracle, when he was rather startled to hear a slight cough behind him. He turned so abruptly that he dropped his sandwich, which turned downward through the air and was rather small by the time it was stopped by the ground. About 30 feet behind Arthur was another pole, and, alone among the sparse forest of about 3 dozen poles, the top of it was occupied. It was occupied by an old man who, in turn, seemed to be occupied by profound thoughts that were making him scowl. "Excuse me," said Arthur. The man ignored him. Perhaps he couldn't hear him. The breeze was moving about a bit. It was only by chance that Arthur had heard the slight cough. "Hello?" called Arthur. "Hello!" The man at last glanced around at him. He seemed surprised to see him. Arthur couldn't tell if he was surprised and pleased to see him or just surprised. "Are you open?" called Arthur. The man frowned in incomprehension. Arthur couldn't tell if he couldn't understand or couldn't hear. "I'll pop over," called Arthur. "Don't go away." He clambered off the platform and climbed quickly down the spiraling pegs, arriving at the bottom quite dizzy. He started to make his way over to the pole on which the old man was sitting, and then suddenly realized that he had disoriented himself on the way down and didn't know for certain which one it was. He looked around for landmarks and worked out which was the right one. He climbed it. It wasn't. "Damn!" he said. "Excuse me," he called out to the old man again, who was now straight in front of him and 40 feet away. "Got lost. Be with you in a minute." Down he went again, getting very hot and bothered. When he arrived panting and sweating at the top of the pole that he knew for certain was the right one, he realized that the man was, somehow or other, mucking him about. "What do you want?" shouted the old man crossly at him. He was now sitting on top of the pole that Arthur recognized was the one that he had been on himself when eating his sandwich. "How did you get over there?" called Arthur in bewilderment. "You think I'm going to tell you, just like that, what it took me 40 springs, summers, and autumns of sitting on top of a pole to work out? What about winter?" "Well, what about winter? Don't you sit on the pole in the winter?" "Just because I sit up a pole for most of my life," said the man, "doesn't mean I'm an idiot. I go south in the winter, got a beach house, sit on the chimney stack." "Do you have any advice for a traveler?" "Yes, get a beach house." "Yes."
So, I have a question.
What?
So, at the Dollar General or Family Dollar, is there a pumpkin pie?
I found you. You can see if Dad will take you. But I don't think I've seen one. Alright. Love you, boy. I see. The man stared out over the hot, dry, scrubby landscape. From here, Arthur could see the old woman, a tiny speck in the distance, dancing up and down and swatting flies. You see her? Called the old man suddenly. Yes, said Arthur. I consulted her, in fact. Fat lot she knows. I got the beach house because she turned it down. What advice did she give you? Do exactly the opposite of everything she's done? In other words, get a beach house. I suppose so, said Arthur. Well, maybe I'll get one. The horizon was swimming in a fetid heat haze. Any other advice? Asked Arthur, other than to do with real estate? Beach house isn't just real estate, it's a state of mind, said the man. He turned and looked at Arthur. Oddly, the man's face was now only a couple feet away. He seemed in one way to be perfectly normal shape, but his body was sitting cross-legged on a pole 40 feet away, while his face was only 2 feet from Arthur's. Without moving his head and without seeming to do anything odd at all, he stood up and stepped onto the top of another pole. Whether it was just the heat, thought Arthur, or space was a different shape for him. A beach house, he said, doesn't even have to be on the beach, though the best ones are. We all like to congregate, he won, at boundary conditions. Really, said Arthur, where the land meets water, where earth meets air, where body meets mind, where space meets time. We like to be on one side and look at the other. Arthur got terribly excited. This was exactly the sort of thing he'd been promised in the brochure. Here was a man who seemed to be moving through some kind of Escher space, saying really profound things about all sorts of stuff. It was unnerving, though. The man was now stepping from pole to ground, from ground to pole, from pole to pole, from pole to horizon and back. He was making complete nonsense of Arthur's spatial universe. Please stop, Arthur said suddenly. Can't take it, huh? Said the man, without the slightest movement. He was now back sitting cross-legged, on top of the pole 40 feet in front of Arthur. You come to me for advice, but you can't cope with anything you don't recognize. So we'll have to tell you something you already know, but make it sound like news, eh? Well, business as usual, I suppose. He sighed and squinted mournfully into the distance. Where you from, boy? He then asked. Arthur decided to be clever. He was fed up with being mistaken for a complete idiot by everyone he ever met. Tell you what, he said. You're a seer. Why don't you tell me? The old man sighed again. I was just, he said, passing his hand around behind his head, making conversation. When he brought his hand around to the front again, he had a globe of the earth spinning on his up-pointed forefinger. It was unmistakable. He put it away again. Arthur was stunned. How did you... I can't tell you. Why not? I've come all this way. You cannot see what I see because you see what you see. You cannot know what I know because you know what you know. What I see and what I know cannot be added to what you see and what you know because they are not the same. Neither can it replace what you see and what you know because that would be to replace you yourself. Hang on, can I write this down? Said Arthur excitedly, fumbling in his pocket for a pencil. You can pick up a copy at the spaceport, said the old man. They've got racks of the stuff. Oh, said Arthur, disappointed. Well, isn't there anything that's perhaps a bit more specific for me? Everything you see or hear or experience in any way at all is specific to you. You create a universe by perceiving it, so everything in the universe you perceive is specific to you. Arthur looked at him doubtfully. Can I get that at the spaceport too? He said. Check it out, said the old man. It says in the brochure, said Arthur, pulling it out of his pocket and looking at it again, that I can have a special prayer individually tailored to me and my special needs. Oh, all right, said the old man. Here's a prayer for you. Got a pencil? Yes, said Arthur. It goes like this. Let's see now. Protect me from knowing what I don't need to know. Protect me from even knowing that there are things to know that I don't know. Protect me from knowing that I decided not to know about the things that I decided not to know about. Amen. That's it. It's what you pray silently inside yourself anyway, so you may as well have it out in the open. Said Arthur. Well, thank you. There's another prayer that goes with it that's very important, continued the old man, so you'd better jot this down too. Okay. It goes, Lord, Lord, Lord. It's best to put that bit in just in case. You can never be too sure. Lord, 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 protect me from the consequences of the above prayer. Amen. And that's it. Most of the trouble people get into in life comes from leaving out that last part. Ever heard of a place called Stavromuda Beta? Asked Arthur. No. Well, thank you for your help, said Arthur. Don't mention it, said the man on the pole and vanished. Chapter 10. Ford hurled himself at the door of the editor-in-chief's office, tucked himself into a tight ball as the frame splintered and gave way once again, rolled rapidly across the floor to where the smart gray crushed leather sofa was, and set up his strategic operational base behind it. That, at least, was the plan. Unfortunately, the smart guy crushed leather sofa wasn't there. Why, thought Ford, as he twisted himself around in midair, lurched, dove, and scuttled for cover behind Harl's desk. Did people have this stupid obsession with rearranging their office furniture every 5 minutes? Why, for instance, replace perfectly serviceable, if rather muted, gray crushed leather sofa with what appeared to be a small tank. And who was the big guy with the mobile rocket launcher on his shoulder? Someone from head office? Couldn't be. This was head office. At least it was the head office of the guide, where these Infinidim Enterprise guys came from Zarquan New. Nowhere very sunny, judging from the slug-like color and texture of their skins. This was all wrong, thought Ford. People connected with the guide should come from sunny places. There were several of them, in fact, and all of them seemed to be more heavily armed and armored than you normally expect corporate executives to be, even in today's rough-and-tumble business world. He was making a lot of assumptions here, of course. He was assuming that the big, bull-necked, slug-like guys were in some way connected with Infinidim Enterprises. But it was a reasonable assumption that he felt happy about it because they had logos on their armor plating which said Infinidim Enterprises on them. He had a nagging suspicion that this was not a business meeting, though. He also had a nagging feeling that these slug-like creatures were familiar to him in some way. Familiar, but in an unfamiliar guise. Well, he had been in the room for a good 2.5 seconds now and thought that it was probably about time to start doing something constructive. He could take a hostage. That would be good. Van Harl was in his swivel chair, looking alarmed, pale, and shaken. He probably had some bad news as well as a nasty bang to the back of his head. Ford leapt to his feet and made a running grab of him. Under the pretext of getting him into a good solid double underpinned elbow lock, Ford managed surreptitiously to slip the identa ease back into Harl's inner pocket. Bingo! He'd done what he came to do. Now he just had to talk his way out of there. Okay, he said. He paused. The big guy with the rocket launcher was turning toward Ford Prefect and pointing it at him, which Ford couldn't help feeling was wildly irresponsible behavior. He started again, and then, on a sudden impulse, decided to duck. There was a deafening roar as flames leapt from the back of the rocket launcher, and a rocket leapt from its front. The rocket hurtled past Ford and hit the large plate glass window, which billowed outward in a shower of 1,000,000 shards under the force of the explosion. Huge shockwaves of noise and air pressure reverberated around the room, sweeping a couple of chairs, a filing cabinet, and calling the security robot out of the window. So they're not totally rocket-proof after all, thought Ford Prefect to himself. Someone should have a word with somebody about that. He disentangled himself from Harl and tried to work out which way to run. He was surrounded. The big guy with the rocket launcher was moving it up into position again for another shot. Ford was completely at a loss for what to do next. "Look," he said in a stern voice, but he wasn't certain how far saying things like "look" in a stern voice was necessarily going to get him, and time was not on his side. What the hell, he thought. You're only young once, and threw himself out of the window. That would at least keep the element of surprise on his side. Chapter 11. The first thing Arthur Dent had to do, he realized resignedly, was to get himself alive. This meant he had to find a planet he could have one on. It had to be a planet he could breathe on, where he could stand up and sit down without experiencing gravitational discomfort. It had to be somewhere where the acid levels were low and the plants didn't actually attack you. I hate to be philanthropic, but, he said to the strange thing behind the desk at the Resettlement Advice Center on Pintleton Alpha, but I'd quite like to live somewhere where the people look vaguely like me as well, sort of human. The strange thing behind the desk waved some sort of its stranger bits around and seemed rather taken aback by this. It oozed and glooped and glopped off its seat, thrashed its way slowly across the floor, adjusted the old metal filing cabinet, and then a great belch. Excreted the appropriate drawer. It popped out a couple of glistening tentacles from its ear, removed some files from the drawer, sucked the drawer back in, and vomited up the cabinet again, thrashed its way back across the floor, slimed its way back up onto the seat, and slapped the files on the table. "See anything you fancy?" it asked. Arthur looked nervously through some grubby and damp pieces of paper. It was definitely in some backwater part of the galaxy here, and somewhere off to the left as far as the universe he knew and recognized was concerned. In the space where his own home should have been, there was a rotten hick planet, drowned with rain, and inhabited by thugs and bog hogs. Even the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy seemed to work only fitfully here, which was why he was reduced to making these sorts of inquiries in these sorts of places. One place he always asked after was Stavromula Beta, but no one had ever heard of such a planet. The available worlds looked pretty grim. They had little to offer him because he had little to offer them. He had been extremely chastened to realize that although he originally came from a world which had cars and computers and ballet and Armagnac, he didn't by himself know how any of it worked. He couldn't do it. Left to his own devices, he couldn't build a toaster. He could just about make a sandwich, and that was it. There was not a lot of demand for his services. Arthur's heart sank. This surprised him because he thought it was already about as low as it could possibly be. He closed his eyes for a moment. He so much wanted to be home. He so much wanted his own world. The actual Earth he had grown up on, not to have been demolished. He so much wanted none of this to have happened. He so much wanted that when he opened his eyes again, he would be standing on the doorstep of this little cottage in the west country of England, that the sun would be shining over the green hills, the post van would be going up the lane, the daffodils would be blooming in his garden, and in the distance the pub would be opening for lunch. He so much wanted to take the newspaper down to the pub and read it over, a pint of bitter. He so much wanted to do the crossword. He so much wanted to be able to get completely stuck on 17 across. He opened his eyes. The strange thing was pulsating irritably at him, tapping some kind of pseudopodia on the desk. Arthur shook his head and looked at the next sheet of paper. Grim, he thought, and the next. Very grim, and the next. Oh, now that looked better. There was a world called Bartledan. It had oxygen, it had green hills. It even, it seemed, had a renowned literary culture. But the thing that most aroused his interest was a photograph of a small bunch of Bartledanian people, standing around in a village square, smiling pleasantly at the camera. Ah, he said, and held the picture up to the strange thing behind the desk. Its eyes squirmed out on stalks and rolled up and down the piece of paper, leaving a glistening trail of slime all over it. Yes, it said with distaste, they do look exactly like you. Arthur moved to Bartledan, and using some money he had made by selling some toenail clippings and spit to a DNA bank, he bought himself a room in the village featured in the picture. It was pleasant there. The air was balmy. The people looked like him and seemed not to mind him being there. They didn't attack him with anything. He bought some clothes and a cupboard to put them in. He had got himself a life. Now he had to find a purpose in it. At first he tried to sit and read, but the literature of Bartledan, famed though it was throughout this sector of the galaxy for its subtlety and grace, didn't seem to be able to sustain his interest. The problem was that it wasn't actually about human beings after all. It wasn't about what human beings wanted. The people of Bartledan were remarkably like human beings to look at, but when you said good evening to one, he would tend to look around with a slight sense of surprise, sniff the air and say that, yes, he supposed that it probably was a goodish evening now that Arthur came to mention it. No, what I meant was to wish you a good evening, Arthur would say, or rather, used to say. He soon learned to avoid these conversations. I mean that I hope you have a good evening, he would add, more puzzlement. Wish? The Bartledanian would say at last, in polite bafflement. Yes, Arthur would then have said. I'm just expressing the hope that... Hope? Yes. What is hope? Good question, thought Arthur to himself, and retreated back to his room to think about things. On the one hand, he could only recognize and respect what he learned about the Bartledanian view of the universe, which was that the universe was what the universe was. Take it or leave it. On the other hand, he could not help but feel that not to desire anything, not ever to wish or to hope, was just not natural. Natural. There was a tricky word. He had long ago realized that a lot of things that he had thought of as natural, like buying people presents at Christmas, stopping at red lights, or falling at a rate of 32 feet per second, were just the habits of his own world and didn't necessarily work the same way anywhere else. Not to wish. That really couldn't be natural, could it? That would be like not breathing. Breathing was another thing that the Bartledanians didn't do, despite all the oxygen in the atmosphere. They just stood there. Occasionally they ran around and played netball and stuff without ever wishing to win, though of course they would just play and whoever won, but they never actually breathed. It was, for some reason, unnecessary. Arthur quickly learned that playing netball with them was just too spooky. Though they looked like humans and even moved and sounded like humans, they didn't breathe and they didn't wish for things. Breathing and wishing for things, on the other hand, was just about all that Arthur seemed to do all day. Sometimes he would wish for things so much that his breathing would get quite agitated, and he would have to go and lie down for a bit. On his own, in his small room, so far from the world that had given birth to him, that his brain could not even process the sort of numbers involved without just going limp. He preferred not to think about it. He preferred just to sit and read, or at least he would prefer it if there was anything worth reading. But nobody in Bartledanian stories ever wanted anything, not even a glass of water. Certainly they would fetch one if they were thirsty, but if there wasn't one available, they would think no more about it. He had just read an entire book in which the main character had, over the course of a week, done some work in his garden, played a great deal of netball, helped mend a road, fathered a child on his wife, and then unexpectedly died of thirst just before the last chapter. The exasperation Arthur had combed his way back through the book and in the end had found a passing reference to some problem with the plumbing in chapter 2, and that was it. So the guy dies? It just happens? That wasn't even the climax of the book because there wasn't one. The character died about a third of the way through the penultimate chapter of the book, and the rest of it was just more stuff about road mending. The book just finished dead at the 100,000th word, because that was how long books were in Bartleton. Arthur threw the book across the room, sold the room, and left. He started to travel with wild abandon, trading in and more spit, toenails, fingernails, blood, hair, anything that anybody wanted for tickets. For seamen, he discovered he could travel first class. He settled nowhere, but only existed in the hermetic, twilight world of the cabins of hyperspatial starships, eating, drinking, sleeping, watching movies, only stopping at spaceports to donate more DNA and watch the next long-haul ship out. He waited and waited for another accident to happen. The trouble with trying to make the right accident happen is that it won't. That is not what accident means. The accident that eventually occurred was not what he had planned at all. The ship he was on blipped in hyperspace, flickered horribly between 97 different points in the galaxy simultaneously, caught the unexpected gravitational pull of an uncharted planet in one of them, became ensnared in its outer atmosphere, and began to fall, screaming and tearing into it. The ship's systems protested all the way down that everything was perfectly normal and under control, but when it went into a final hectic spin, ripped wildly through a half-mile of trees, and finally exploded into a seething ball of flame, it became clear that this was not the case. Fire engulfed the forest, boiled into the night, then neatly put itself out, as all unscheduled fires over a certain size are now required to do by law. For a short while afterward, other small fires flared up here and there as odd pieces of scattered debris exploded quietly in their own time. Then they too died away. Arthur Dent, because of the sheer boredom of endless interstellar flight, was the only one on board who actually had familiarized himself with the ship's safety procedures in case of an unscheduled landing, was the sole survivor. He lay dazed, broken, and bleeding in a sort of fluffy pink plastic cocoon with "Have a nice day" printed in more than 3,000 different languages all over it. Black roaring silences swam sickeningly through his shattered mind. He knew with a kind of resigned certainty that he would survive, because he had not yet been to Stavromula Beta. After what seemed an eternity of pain and darkness, he became aware of quiet shapes moving around him. Ford tumbled through the air in a cloud of glass splinters and chair parts. Again, he hadn't really thought things through, and was just playing it by ear. Buying time, at times of major crisis, he found it was often quite helpful to have his life flash before his eyes. It gave him a chance to reflect on things, see things in some sort of perspective, and it sometimes furnished him with a vital clue as to what to do next. There was the ground rushing up to meet him at 30 feet per second, but he would, he thought, deal with that problem when he got to it. First things first. Ah, here it came. His childhood. Humdrum stuff. He'd been through it all before. Images flashed by. Boring times on Beetlejuice 5. Zaphod Breeblebox as a kid. Yes, he knew all that. He wished he had some kind of fast forward in his brain. His 7th birthday party, being given his first towel. Come on, come on. He was twisting and turning downward, the outside air, at this height, a cold shock to his lungs, trying not to inhale glass. Early voyages to other planets. Oh, for Zark's sake, this was like some sort of bloody travelogue documentary before the main feature. First beginning to work for the guide. Those were the days. They worked out of a hut on Buenoli Atoll and Fanala before the Richtenarkels and the Donkwoods fertled it. Half a dozen guys, some towels, a handful of highly sophisticated digital devices, and most important, a lot of dreams. No, most important, a lot of phenolin rum. To be absolutely accurate, that old Jank's spirit was the absolute most important thing. Then the phenolin rum and also some of the beaches on Atoll, where the local girls would hang out, but the dreams were important as well. Whatever happened to those? He couldn't quite remember what the dreams were in fact, but they had seemed immensely important at the time. They had certainly not involved this huge towering office block he was now falling down the side of. All of that had come when some of the original team had started to settle down and get greedy, while he and the others had stayed out in the field researching and hitchhiking and gradually becoming more and more isolated from the corporate nightmare of the guide that had inexorably turned into and the architectural monstrosity it had come to occupy. Where were the dreams in that? He thought of all the corporate lawyers who occupied half the building, all the operatives who occupied the lower levels, and all the sub-editors and their secretaries and their secretaries' lawyers and their secretaries' lawyers' secretaries, and, worst of all, the accountants and the marketing department. He had half a mind just to keep on falling, the finger to the lot of them. He was just passing the 7th floor now, where the marketing department hung out. Load of tosspots all arguing about what color the guide should be and exercising their infallible skills of being wise after the event. If any of them had chosen to look out of the window at that moment, they would have been startled by the sight of Fort Prefect dropping past them to his certain death and flipping the finger at them. 16th floor, sub-editors, bastards. What about all the copy of his they'd cut? 15 years of research he defiled from one planet alone, and they'd cut it to 2 words, mostly harmless. The finger to them as well. 15th floor, logistical administration. Whatever that was about. They all had big cars. That he thought was what that was about. 14th floor, personnel. He had a very shrewd suspicion that it was they who had engineered his 15-year exile while the guide metamorphosed into the corporate monolith, or rather, duolith, mustn't forget the lawyers, it had become. 13th floor, research and development. Hang about. 13th floor. He was having to think rather fast at the moment because the situation was becoming a little urgent. He suddenly remembered the floor display panel in the elevator. It hadn't had a 13th floor, he'd thought. No more about it because, having spent 15 years on the rather backward planet Earth, where they were so superstitious about the number 13, he was used to being in buildings that numbered their floors without it. No reason for that here, though. The windows of the 13th floor, he could not help noticing, as he flashed swiftly by them, were darkened. What was going on in there? He started to remember all the stuff that Harl had been talking about. One new multidimensional guide spread across an infinite number of universe. Had sounded, the way Harl had put it, like wild meaninglessness dreamed up by the marketing department with the backing of the accountants. If it was any more real than that, then it was a very weird and dangerous idea. Was it real? What was going on behind the darkened windows of the sealed-off 13th floor? Ford felt a rising sense of curiosity and then a rising sense of panic. That was the complete list of rising feelings he had. In every other respect, he was falling very rapidly. He really ought to turn his mind to wondering how he was going to get out of this situation alive. He glanced down. 100 feet or so below him, people were milling around, some of them beginning to look up expectantly, clearing a space for him, even temporarily calling off the wonderful and completely fascist hunt for rockets. He would hate to disappoint them, but about 2 feet below him, he hadn't realized before, was Colin. Colin had obviously been happily dancing attendance and waiting for him to decide what he wanted to do. "Colin!" Ford bawled. Colin didn't respond. Ford went cold. Then he suddenly realized that he hadn't told Colin his name was Colin. "Come up here!" Ford bawled. Colin bobbed up beside him. Colin was enjoying the ride down immensely and hoped that Ford was too. Colin's world went unexpectedly dark as Ford's towel suddenly enveloped him. Colin immediately felt himself get much, much heavier. He was thrilled and delighted by the challenge that Ford had presented him with. Just not sure if he could handle it, that was all. The towel was slung over Colin. Ford was hanging from the towel, gripping to its seams. Other hitchhikers had seen fit to modify their towels in exotic ways, weaving all kinds of esoteric tools and utilities, and even computer equipment into their fabric. Ford was a purist. He liked to keep things simple. He carried a regular towel from a regular domestic soft furnishing shop. It even had a kind of blue and pink floral pattern, despite his repeated attempts to bleach and stonewash it. Had a couple of pieces of wire threaded into it, a bit of flexible writing stick, and also some nutrients soaked into one of the corners of the fabric so he could suck on it in an emergency, but otherwise it was a simple towel you could dry your face on. The only actual modification he had been persuaded by a friend to make to it was to reinforce the seams. Ford gripped the seams like a maniac. They were still descending, but the rate had slowed. "Up, Colin," he shouted. Nothing. "Your name," shouted Ford, "is Colin. So when I shout, 'Up, Colin,' I want you, Colin, to go up, okay? Colin." Nothing, or rather, a sort of muffled groaning sound from Colin. Ford was very anxious. They were descending very slowly now, but Ford was very anxious about the sort of people he could see assembling on the ground beneath him. Friendly local walk-it hunting types were dispersing, and thick, heavy, bull-necked, slug-like creatures with rocket launchers were, it seemed, sliding out of what was usually called thin air. Thin air, as all experienced galactic travelers well know, is in fact extremely thick with multidimensional complexities. "Up!" bellowed Ford again. "Up, Colin! Go up!" Colin was straining and groaning. They were now more or less stationary in the air. Ford felt as if his fingers were breaking. "Up!" They stayed put. Up, up, up. A slug was preparing to launch a rocket at him. Ford couldn't believe it. He was hanging from a towel in midair, and a slug was preparing to fire rockets at him. He was running out of anything he could think of doing and was beginning to get seriously alarmed. This was the sort of predicament that he usually relied on having the guide available to give good advice, however infuriating or glib, but this was not a moment for reaching into his pocket, and the guide seemed to be no longer a friend and ally, but was now itself a source of danger. These were the guide offices he was hanging outside, for Zark's sake, in danger of his life from the people who were now appearing to own the thing. What had become of all the dreams he vaguely remembered having on the Gwynelli Atoll? They should have let it all be. They should have stayed there, stayed on the beach, loved good women, lived on fish. He should have known it was all wrong the moment they started hanging grand pianos over the sea monster pool in the atrium. He began to feel thoroughly wasted and miserable. His fingers were on fire with clenching pain, and his ankle was still hurting. "Oh, thank you, ankle," he thought to himself bitterly. "Thank you for bringing up your problems at this time. I expect you'd like a nice warm foot bath to make you feel better, wouldn't you? Or at least, you'd like me to." He had an idea. The armored slug had hoisted the rocket launcher up onto his shoulder. The rocket was presumably designed to hit anything in its path that moved. Ford tried not to sweat because he could feel his grip on the seams of his towel slipping. With the toe of his good foot, he nudged and pried at the heel of the shoe on his hurting foot. "Go up, damn you," Ford muttered hopelessly to Colin, who was cheerily straining away but unable to rise. Ford worked away at the heel of his shoe. He was trying to nudge the timing, but there was no point. Just go for it. He only had one shot, and that was it. He had now eased the back of his shoe down off his heel. His twisted ankle felt a little better. Well, that was good, wasn't it? With his other foot, he kicked out the heel of the shoe. It slipped off his foot and fell through the air. About half a second later, a rocket erupted from the muzzle of its launcher, encountered the shoe falling through its path, went straight for it, hit it, and exploded with a great sense of satisfaction and achievement. This happened about 15 feet from the ground. The main force of the explosion was directed downward, where a second earlier there had been a squad of Infinitum Enterprises executives with rocket launcher standing on an elegant terraced plaza paved with large slabs of lustrous stone cut from the ancient alabastrum quarries of Xanthoquapula. There was now instead a bit of a pit with nasty bits in it. A great lump of hot air welled up from the explosion, throwing Ford and Colin violently up into the sky. Ford fought desperately and blindly to hold on, and failed. He turned helplessly upward through the sky, reached the peak of a parabola, paused, and then started to fall again. He fell and fell and fell, and suddenly winded himself badly on Colin, who was still rising. He clasped himself desperately onto the small spherical robot. Colin slewed wildly through the air toward the tower of the guide offices, trying delightedly to control himself and slow down. The world spun sickeningly around Ford's head as they spun and twisted around each other, and then, equally sickeningly, everything suddenly stopped. Ford found himself deposited dizzily on a window ledge. His tail fell past, and he grabbed at it and caught it. Colin bobbed in the air, inches away from him. Ford looked around himself in a bruised, bleeding, and breathless daze. The ledge was only about a foot wide, and he was perched precariously on it, 13 stories up. 13. He knew they were 13 stories up because the windows were dark. He was bitterly upset. He had bought those shoes for some absurd price in a store on the Lower East Side in New York. He had, as a result, written an entire essay on the joys of great footwear, all of which had been jettisoned in the mostly harmless debacle. Damn everything. And now one of the shoes was gone. He threw his head back and stared at the sky. It wouldn't be such a grim tragedy if the planet in question hadn't been demolished, which meant that he wouldn't even be able to get another pair. Yes, given the infinite sideways extensions of probability, there was, of course, an almost infinite multiplicity of planets Earth, but when you come down to it, a major pair of shoes wasn't something you could just replace by mucking about in multidimensional space. He sighed. Oh well, he'd better make the best of it. At least it had saved his life for the time being. Alright, so on that note, we are going to take a pause for the cause and go to our first music break. On this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from Los Angeles, California, and he's going to be singing Finger Bang Your Day, Consensual Sex Fan, Cock That Heals, Multitude, and Silicone Wave. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
When your life is a never-ending train wreck, and you feel like you're drowning in a sea of regret, with a bit of oppression pressing down on your neck, it hurts so bad. When your overwhelming hatred kills your heart's desire, and reality starts looking like a dumpster fire, you start bitching to me, but you're preaching to the choir. You don't need to be so mad, 'cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. choice to give it all you've got and make your day long with pleasure, really make it hot. Because your day deserves a lover that pulls out the stops. Come on, it's not so hard. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we should. There's no reason to try when the whole world blows up in our face. What else could we do but stand up and sing? I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah. Finger bang my day. Hey, what are we really doing? We can't live in a world that has this much hate. We have to get honest with ourselves. We have to take stock in what our part is in all of this madness. We have to let go, and we focus on giving love, setting that intention. And each and every single one of us gets up every day with the intention to give love. And we do it. We go out there and we give love every single day. Each one of us gets out there and makes love to our day. Giving our day a multiple orgasm. The whole world will be orgasmic for the rest of eternity. Sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we should. There's no reason to try when the whole world is fucking insane. We open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. let's go. Just get in the van.
Desperate and pathetic. Nothing but a coward. You're a fool with nothing to offer. No one will ever believe you. They see you for what you are. You're just a fraud, a shell of a person. And now the power of the spirit of penetrates the demons that love you. They enslave you into the depths of the face. I am the son of a...
I got Marlon moves, got that molar too. You think it's wrong? I could've had too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves. You need a molar too. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long, never gonna cut it.
All these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And I bang up snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your mama till 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history. I can't outmaneuver you with that pussy, dude. You feel like voodoo waiting on it to come to you. My lines are straight to the point, she shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude? Let's adjust your attitude. Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
I got more than moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that.
Head with a alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, back of the head, I'm gonna cut it.
Alligator, double dually Lamborghini. All up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. You're like the butt of a butter knife cutting up panini. So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie. These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be bought. So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. You wanna bite my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor.
I got more than moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, back of the head, I'm gonna cut it. Got that motherfucking ballin'. You wanna touch it?
Yeah. Next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my molar makes your hoes pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, never gonna cut it. I got molar moves, I got that molar too. You think it's wrong, back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these molar moves, you need a molar too. I can do no wrong, back of the head, never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it.
Drip, drip,
Molar moves.
some molar, bitch.
Molar moves.
Drip, drip.
Molar moves. Never gonna cut it.
I just got a package, I can't wait to get home. I spent all day tracking the shipment on my phone, all that she was lacking. I ordered custom, I can't wait to get some. Take it to the bedroom, bitches always nagging. Now I got the air, I send the bitches packing, going my way. I have a new attraction, don't care what you say, it's better in every way. Now baby, it's time to play, we're gonna make us a tape and show everyone the way. Cause I'm going my own way, riding up the Silicon Way. I wanna see on the game with my new real dog, I'm gonna play. Just second way to Mount Silicon Way. She is here to stay. She's my new real dog, and it's time to play. She don't need expensive date nights. Never talks back, I'm always right. Stuff it in her face with all my might. She don't even care, we don't ever fight. She never cries when I'm testing the suspension. We blow it up like it's fucking Armageddon. We make the videos because this is perfection. Look at this erection, I don't need protection. Cause I'm going my own way, riding up the Silicon Way. I wanna see on the game with my new real dog, I'm gonna play. Just second way to Mount Silicon Way. She is here to stay. She's my new real dog, and it's time to play.
Je pense toujours.
Enchanté,
Tu es charmant.
ma chérie. Mange
Tu es
the
charmant.
potatoes and the tea. Is a touchy of a nipple.
Tu es charmant. C'est moi.
Like living on a super yacht, making love to a robot. It's like owning a football team, but having sex with a robot. It's like winning an Oscar and Emmy and Grammy when you're fucking a robot. It's like saving a family with a newborn from a fire, but you're fucking a robot.
leave me alone. Somebody please take me out. The rest of time. Not if you know.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. We've done story time with me, TessaTNT, and now we're going to get into some creepy videos. I need to apologize to my Spreaker peeps. I guess the second hour of story time for them didn't really turn out because I had it muted. So I apologize to you guys. I'm going to double check it again just to be sure. All right, it's looking good. But I hate when that happens. Anyways, we're going to share a creepy video. Actually, we're going to do two. And, yeah, it should be good. I almost did one that was just like 40-something minutes, but, I don't know. It's not as much as these two would be together, because these are longer by a couple minutes, so. Yeah. 11 scary videos that will keep you awake all night, and this is by Sir Spooks. Sir Spooks. If you have not watched Sir Spooks and have not subscribed, please be sure to, because he's got an amazing channel going on here.
Hello everyone.
No.
My name is Sir Spooks, and today we'll take a look at 11 scary videos. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more scary content. Alright, with that said, let's begin. This first video comes to us from the popular YouTube channel Professor Cynical, a YouTuber who typically uploads videos of himself playing and reviewing different video games and consoles. However, there's one particular video on his channel that sticks out like a sore thumb. Uploaded in July of 2024, the video shows Cynical explaining that he believes his apartment may be haunted. As Cynical is explaining this to the audience, something incredibly strange happens directly behind him. Take a look and see for yourself.
Sick of this.
I'm getting sick of this. I feel you.
So just to show you guys that there's, oh for God's sake, literally nothing here. Sorry, my tripod getting caught and everything. Literally nothing here. Look, see, absolutely nothing. Oh, sorry, tripod away. I'm gonna fall that. Just show you as well. Oh, this
I could do that to my days at sometimes.
Strangely, the door handle can be seen moving all by itself. After this, Cynical proceeds to go to his kitchen and begins to film the surroundings to show that there's nothing in his apartment. A couple of minutes later in the video, he then asks any potential spirits in the house if they can make something move. Amazingly, it seems as though something listens. Watch this.
Mm.
Can you make something move? Again? Can you make anything move?
Holy shnikes. Careful what you ask for.
Then, about 30 seconds later, something else happens that causes Cynical to once again pick up his camera and walk around his apartment just to prove that he's supposed to be completely home alone.
Don't worry about that. That was my air freshener going off automatically. 8 minutes. Bargain.
Mm. Well?
Nah, mate. Nah. Nah, nope. I am moving out. I don't know what this is. I don't care what this is. Nope.
Where's
Just show you
families?
again, ladies and gentlemen. There is nobody else here. Nope.
To this day, Cynical isn't sure what exactly is going on inside of his apartment, but
he
he
move?
definitely suspects there's something paranormal in nature happening. After watching this footage, I have to agree. A Reddit user known as Emergency Row 4953 uploaded the following eerie video to the popular ghost subreddit just about 2 weeks ago, and it has already sparked quite the discussion online. While metal detecting at an abandoned retirement village, the uploader entered a building to look around. Everything was seemingly going perfectly fine and well until this randomly happened.
It's an apartment complex? The door kind of cracked. It's kind of creepy.
Suddenly, one of the doors nearby slammed shut for no apparent reason. This room was located inside a much larger building, and there was no breeze or wind whatsoever. According to the uploader, the retirement home allegedly has a dark history of mistreatment of the elderly, and the uploader
those
says
places
that
are
the
so
negative
creepy.
energy in the place was palpable. Unfortunately, we don't get to actually see the door closing all by itself, because the camera pans the opposite way, but you can definitely hear it. Then, you can see that the door is more closed when the uploader films the door again. Some people in the comment section of this video believe that this is a 100% genuine video of some kind of paranormal entity closing a door inside of this spooky retirement home, whereas others aren't entirely convinced, mainly because we never actually see the door closing. What do you guys think? Do you think this Reddit user managed to record something creepy on camera, or was this all a big setup? Be sure to let me know in the comments.
I think if it was a setup, I'd do something bigger. Go big or go home. Number 9.
Over on Reddit, a user known as Truth is Fiction YT posted a video to his account that showcases what at first appears to be just a standard, uneventful video that was taken somewhere in the woods. However, as you're about to see in just a minute, this video is anything but ordinary. The footage you're watching is stabilized footage that was filmed in a forest. Take a good long look and see if you notice anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah. It's like a Bigfoot or something. What? That is so weird. How long ago was this taken?
Did you see it? At one point in the video, you can make out what appears to be some kind of a tall, hairy creature stalking its way through the forest. As a result of this, lots of people have speculated that this may indeed be the elusive Bigfoot. Of course, that's just one theory, and the video is entirely up to interpretation. Some in the comments think the entity is walking in a very human-like manner, whereas others are totally convinced that this Reddit user captured legitimate footage of Bigfoot's existence. What do you guys think? Be sure to leave your theories in the comments.
Looks like a pretty big thing, whatever it is. Looks like it's walking towards, but then it's walking away. It's kind of like one of those. I don't remember what they're called.
Over on the Alien subreddit, a user known as SpaceGuy1994 posted a frightening video that's guaranteed to give you the chills.
Optical
The
illusions.
uploader describes the footage as the best close-up evidence of a present-day Nazca mummy. The video starts off with two men standing in a snowy hillside area somewhere in Russia. The two men are talking about something they think they saw, both of them astonished at the gruesome and fascinating discovery they made. Take a look.
Сейчас погоди, подожди. Да вот, ебать, часа 2 назад хули, ебаный. Собака хули унюхала, сука. И все, мы хули думаем, что за нахуй лежит? Смотри, бывший. Да я хуй знает, погоди, смотри. Вообще,
I've seen that one before. The poor little alien froze to death out there.
что дохлый его.
You'd think he'd be used to space
Да,
temperatures.
лежит,
Она не с нашей планеты.
Полнейшая дохлеть.
Инопланетяне.
It's clear that the two men came across something they most likely were not meant to see. As the camera gets closer and closer to the entity, it seems that there is a dead alien lying in the snow, all mangled apart. There's certainly something very off-putting about the footage that lots of people, myself included, can't quite seem to put their finger on.
Well,
The
look at his
entity in the
limbs
snow
missing and
definitely
stuff,
looks to be
like-
the corpse of an alien. But that can't be, right? Well,
Why
maybe
not?
it can. After all, our world never fails to amaze us.
That's true.
TikTok user Able3E posted a video to his account back in September of 2020, which showcases security camera footage that was taken in his backyard in Weslaco, Texas. What initially appears to be a mundane piece of footage the camera filmed quickly turns into something much more frightening. Be sure to take a good look at the area off to the right-hand corner of the screen. See if you notice anything strange.
Why are you out of bed? Just kidding. Creepy.
Did you see it? A strange ghostly apparition appears to move slowly before it eventually disappears into thin air, never to be seen again. A separate video that was posted by the uploader sometime later shows the exact location of the ghost sighting, only this time during the day. Is it just me, or is there something unsettling about that shed-like building? Either way, let's just hope that if this homeowner did end up recording a ghost on his security camera, that he has since solved the problem and can now live in peace. The following video was posted to the UFO subreddit and showcases one of the most bizarre yet interesting videos that I've seen in quite a long time. In the video, we watch as the videographer is driving in his vehicle during a beautiful sunset. Out of nowhere though, this seemingly peaceful video is transformed into something creepy and mind-blowing. Out of nowhere, an extremely fast bolt of light seems to move across the sky, resembling that of a shooting star. However, some people on the internet are not entirely convinced this was simply a shooting star.
That's crazy.
Lots
That's
of
not a
people
shooting
are
star.
suspecting that this is a rapidly
That's a UFO,
fast
man.
UFO, and it doesn't seem like too far of a stretch. The uploader writes that the video was filmed in Redlands, California, and says that the video shows an object spotted overhead, heading directly into the blaze currently raging in Southern California. It's kind of amazing that somebody was even able to get such a clear shot of this thing, whatever it is.
I got a video like
whatsoever.
that. Man, I wish I
Whatever
could
this
find
is,
it.
UFO or
I know
not,
it's on here
it's
somewhere,
pretty
but
amazing and interesting at
it
the
was
same
during
time.
a solar eclipse.
Time will only
I was
tell
trying to
if
film
we
it
ever
with my
figure out
phone,
what it is.
which was back in the day when phones weren't that great, and when that sun would point into the sky and you see something fly over it fast, just like that.
The following piece of security camera footage was posted to YouTube by a man named David Rodriguez. The video was filmed in Mexico and shows a group of 2 to 3 guards walking around and looking for a woman. Throughout the course of the video,
She's right
we can
behind
frequently
you.
hear the guards telling each other to go ahead. It turns out that the woman they're looking for is appearing to them much differently than what they anticipated.
Exactamente
Just on
está a su
camera.
espalda de ustedes. Ahí me... Exactamente ahí donde está haciendo su movimiento, ahí está. Dime. Adelante, lo escucho.
Ya le abrí aquí la malla al 37, lo dejo que pase hasta del otro lado, lo acompaña al portón y lo dejo que vaya, ¿o qué hago? No hay nada.
Hasta ahí está don Enrique y Cristian.
Every single time one of the guards attempts to walk up to the woman in question, the guard manages to walk right through her without explanation, leaving many to suspect naturally that the woman may be a ghost.
You think?
The guards are absolutely baffled at this, and understandably so. What would you do if you found yourself in the shoes of one of the guards? Let's just hope that this ghost woman finds peace in the afterlife. Mario Ramsey posted this next video to his TikTok account and sees him recording the inside of a seemingly burning abandoned hospital.
What?
The footage is quite scary
Why is it
and
on fire?
unsettling, so if you want to sleep tonight,
What's happening?
you might want to think twice about watching any further.
Duh.
By translating the words on screen, it appears that Mario says that he noticed something very strange while he was at work. Mario says that he works at a hospital at night, and on the one side there's an abandoned hospital. He claims it was about 3:30 in the morning when he looked out of his window and saw this. Take a look.
No habla.
The video seems to showcase somebody burning alive while in the building. Mario agrees that the entity inside seems to be a person. However, he also acknowledges that when he started recording the video, the entity disappeared without a trace.
It's an elemental.
To this
that is not
day,
a person.
nobody's entirely sure as to what Mario captured. Let's just hope that nobody was seriously harmed here.
It's either ghost or an elemental that is not a person. Number 3.
A Reddit user posted an extremely bizarre video to the Alien subreddit, which showcases footage filmed above the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C., from 3 different angles back in 2018. The first angle showcases somebody driving in their car late at night, simply trying to enjoy the drive when all of a sudden they spot something truly bizarre in the sky. Watch this.
Was the pyramid thing? I think so.
What's that ship? What? This is alien spaceship, I tell you. Yes, I'm really sorry, but just because I was talking.
There definitely seems to be some kind of a bizarre floating object hovering above the Pentagon building. A second angle shows the exact same incident, but perhaps a bit more in focus and clear this time around.
This is the one I saw. Yep.
This is a fucking alien invasion.
You see it? Where is it? Give me the camera. What is this? I mean, what the is that?
Laugh. Have you lost it? Look back! Look back!
I got you, baby. I see it.
Wow.
Slow down, man. Slow down.
That is
What?
insane. Yeah, at least roll down your
Turn on the
window
radio.
so we're
Where's
not
the
getting
telephone?
reflection and stuff.
Turn on the radio.
Again, the object appears to be very mysterious and unexplainable. The third angle is just as cryptic.
Pick it.
Honey?
She's not in here.
Ooh.
And you know, starting to get warm.
Yeah. I think it was the last UFO I saw here. Not the last
To
UFO
this
I
day,
saw, but here at my
nobody's
house.
entirely sure as to what
A jet
exactly was
came and
spotted
tried to
above the
intercept it.
Pentagon building that night.
It blinked
But
out.
the most
First there
popular
was two.
explanation is
One of
that
them
it
blinked
was
out,
a
one kept
UFO.
going, and then as
So,
the jet came
what do you guys
did a
think?
loop, the other
Are
one
you a
blinked
skeptic or a believer? Be sure to let me know in the
out.
comments.
There's stuff out there. You can't tell me there's not. You cannot convince me. Even before I say my number 2.
A Reddit user named FederalSwim9423 posted a creepy piece of home security camera footage to their account just a couple of days ago. They write that the footage came from their camera after they got a notification that motion was detected. Take a look and see the footage for yourself.
Oh my goodness. What? Wow.
Strangely, a mysterious ghost-like entity can be seen moving around near the basketball
It's
hoop
so tall.
before disappearing just seconds later. The uploader is completely
That's
perplexed
insane.
by the footage, stating
Yeah.
that they have no idea what it is, but says that it looks like a person, which certainly seems to be
A
the
really
case,
tall basketball player.
albeit a ghostly one.
Yeah, I was
The
thinking it was
ghost
like
in question
residual,
also appears to be
but then
the
it didn't
exact
do
same
anything like
size
playing
as the
basketball. It's just
basketball
walking
hoop.
by.
In other words,
Running,
it's a
looks
massive
like.
ghost,
In
if that's
slow
even what it is. Do you guys think that perhaps this ghostly apparition was simply trying to get a game of basketball in because it was
Let's go.
bored? Or do you
Yeah.
think there was something else going on here? Let me know your thoughts.
You don't want to know my thoughts. Number 1.
JM Godinez posted a video to Reddit which shows him and his cousin in the dining room, filmed on a security camera that's
What?
positioned in the main area of their house. All appears to be going perfectly fine for the first few seconds of the video. The uploader's cousin can be seen sitting down and simply going about her day, but things are just seconds away from taking a strange turn. Watch and see if you notice it.
I saw it. It appears they do.
At around the 4 to 5 second mark of the video, the uploader's cousin's hair seems to be moving all on its own. It's almost like there's an unseen entity behind her that randomly decided to pull her hair. The cousin
Or push
instantly
it.
feels
It
something
looks
on
like
her
it pushed
hair
it.
and proceeds to turn around, only to find that nobody's there. She definitely looks to be quite spooked afterward, and it's not hard to see why at all. This creepy video just goes to show you that sometimes we aren't safe from getting messed around by ghosts, even in the comfort of our own homes. And that was 11 scary videos. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then subscribe for more scary content. My name is Sir Spooks, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Thanks, Sir Spooks. That was awesome. Okay, so there was a second one I was going to share, but it's one of those where you can't watch it unless you watch it on YouTube, and I don't want to be dealing with commercials. So let's get to this one. Asheville, North Carolina, to help. It's worse, much worse. And this is like real life scary stuff. So let me get over here and share it. I don't know. What do you guys want? Because we could do the most unsettling Airbnb encounters. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have been watching this North Carolina stuff, but it's pretty damn bad. And the numbers are really bad. A lot of the bodies and stuff that are missing are either like under dirt, sand, rubble, trees, whatever. People are able to go into the area where they are and smell them, but they're not able to get to them or expose them. It's just really, really bad. So if you guys could put positive thoughts and energy out there to them, that would be great. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's share this video. Let me fix my sound so we don't have any echoing. All right.
In today's world with work, responsibilities, and endless to-do lists, it's no surprise that when the weekend or holiday arrives, people are eager to...
Okay, so I picked the wrong one. So, I don't know. I guess we'll just continue with this one. I just don't want to deal with the commercials. Let's go ahead and go and share this one. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there it is. Double check the sound. Yep, we're good. Alrighty then.
There's communities that were completely wiped out, and some of them are isolated, and so we're trying to get supplies to them. The people they know have gotten their trailers.
There's even people that are just now walking out of the forest that haven't eaten in days. And the only way to get out is to walk through the forest for days and days and days. Like, this is actual biblical stuff. This is intense. Crazy intense.
Trailers stopped and raided, so you might want to prepare accordingly.
We know what they need, we know where to go. We just don't even know if we can get there yet. So I'm in Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is fine. Nothing really happened. We got a lot of rain. We need a lot of rain, so we're fine. But a bunch of people in East Tennessee and the Asheville area, they got hit really, really hard. So like it's there's towns that don't exist anymore. So I'm working with Jimmy from Jimmy's World and Seth Alvo from Burn Peak. We're gonna load up some supplies, find out whatever supplies we can get. There's plenty of stuff here, and then run down there, and hopefully we can find a way in there so we can drop it off if we can. The problem is a lot of roads got just destroyed. So stay tuned. I have no idea what's gonna happen. Let's go. We're coming from central Middle Tennessee, and we probably have whatever you guys need. We need someone like you who's on the ground, who can distribute, because we don't know anybody here. We don't know what's going on. But what are the things that everyone else is forgetting that we can grab?
Fuel, water, dry foods, or MREs, like something.
So yeah, they're
Only fuel right now. There is access to northern part of North Carolina from Tennessee, but not on the interstate. And actually on the other side, there's resources. So there's fuel, there's groceries, whereas in Asheville area, there's nothing right now. And so we're just going to use that as a place to go gather resources and come back if we need to. So we can coordinate all our efforts together and get it figured out.
So. All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
taking the junk food instead of the good food.
The thing is, you'll have the stores are full. So just think about the compounding effect of all this.
Yeah, this might be a long night. This might be a real long night.
Think of the people that are going
Seth,
through
what's
this.
up, man? We're in Atlanta. It took us through Atlanta. It's like the only way you can get there is got to go through Atlanta. What do you think? You think we should drop it off at 11, or should we come grab a place to stay the night and then do it in the morning?
To be honest, I know you're not scared, but you probably don't want to drive on some of those roads at night because sometimes there's entire parts of the road missing, and they just put up traffic cones.
It's taking forever to get anywhere because all these roads were blocked, and we were in a lot of traffic. A lot of places.
My skin like a good. Very sad. Very scary.
Yeah, dude. You want to jump in?
Proportions.
It's right there.
Okay.
I'll just walk. Your first left.
Awesome.
We are in Edneyville, and as you go down to lower elevation, you got Chimney Rock, Lake Lure, basically Bat Cave, all these places that have been absolutely decimated. Don't go into those places. Like, first responders are going there, let them do their jobs. If you want to help, go to the outskirts with supplies, go to a firehouse or a church and figure out where to drop the stuff off. Like, don't do disaster tourism. This has ended up being sort of a hub for a lot of those places because they're all destroyed. This is the first place that you can get to. It's right next to Hendersonville. So we're kind of right on the edge of all the worst affected places right now. And a lot of people that they're evacuating out of those areas are ending up here.
Right.
The news keeps talking about Asheville, and Asheville got hit really, really hard, but these are lesser known communities, and because they have no cell phone reception, if they find an open gas station, they can't even buy gas for their generator because they don't have credit card access.
And even if when you go about an hour away from here, You can the supplies are getting really, really scarce, but they don't even have the access to get an hour away from here.
No. And if they can, they'll run out of fuel. And then they can't get more because they don't have cash. And they can't get cash because they can't go to an ATM. Their clothes are gone. Their house is destroyed. There's trailer parks buried back there that have literally been washed away. I mean, it's real life. It's bad.
Everything's changing day by day, hour by hour, right? So there might be a need now. What's the big need that you're hearing about people needing right now?
The biggest thing that people tell me is internet. Like if you have a mobile Starlink, or you can disconnect your Starlink and just set it up someplace and put a sign at the side of the road, that's what people need. And so communication is the big one. And just stay out of first responders' ways. Gasoline, top foods, like don't bring cans that you need a can opener for because the can opener's gone. Personal hygiene items, all that stuff.
Unless you bring can openers.
And honestly, just things that are going to boost morale. Like a brand new unopened stuffed animal or something is going to bring a smile to a kid's face, like during something a kid shouldn't have to deal with.
So if people want to help, come to this place.
Come to this place.
Or come to a place like this, but I know that there's access to this place. So you can come here, you can drop your stuff off right here, and they're here, what,
They're 8 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. So come here, drop stuff off. If you don't know where to drop stuff off, just go to Firehouse. Ask them, because they're the ones doing the rescue. Stay the heck out of their way and ask them where you should be dropping off supplies, because that's the best way to help. You can even bring cash. There are places that are doing business, selling whatever they have, and people can't get anything because they can't get to an ATM. If you bring cash, that's huge. They will distribute it to people for sure. But this is, dude, amazing. Like I met some of the people yesterday, and to actually meet people whose homes have been washed away or they saw their neighbor get washed away, it puts your own little problems into perspective.
Right.
It really does. So this is huge. The fact that you guys came here with gas cans full of gasoline, and yeah, it's just
So how does the stuff get from here get out?
Well, a lot of people come here to pick it up. People who actually need it, like the end user will come here to pick it up. And then there are other people that they're working with that know where to bring it. You know, there are shelters. They're bringing it to shelters. People are literally coming here, I need baby formula, where can I get it? And they hand it to them. And you can tell by the looks in their faces that they actually need it.
I think we quadrupled their baby formula supply.
Yeah, I think you did. That was a lot of baby formula. And the reason that there wasn't a lot of baby formula is people are coming here for it.
Right.
Like, we're both parents, we know, like, could you imagine when you have a newborn and your whole life has been turned upside down, running out of baby formula and having no cash and no place to even get it from, and then when you do get there, they're all out of it. Even the grocery store by me is not open. Gas stations still have huge lines, and then they run out, and then when they get refilled, they run out again. Everything we brought here yesterday seems to be gone already, and so I know this hub is working.
That's awesome.
They're here late and they're here early.
Listen, I know you're busy. You got stuff to do. You got people to go check on.
Dude, we both do. Thank you for coming out. Like, seriously.
Yeah, thanks for giving us. We needed a place to go. Like, thanks for telling us where to go.
Totally.
All right, so we got back yesterday, and now they've got a different need, and we're loading back up. We're taking some of the seats out of Klaus. We're gonna stack everything up real tall. We're a little leaner and meaner if we can run without it. We save a whole lot of fuel, so we can stop less. I just got a text from Seth, and they're asking for propane and lunch meat.
Propane accessories.
So people are getting hungry, and we're trying to figure out how to get them some food. I also want to see if I can get some like stuffed animal toys that we can give to like the little kids. So they got something to hold on to. 'Cause I got little kids, they love stuffed animals. I'm gonna have a link. I'm still collecting the data. I'm gonna have some information of how you guys can help, because it's not as simple as just running down there. We don't really. We're not even going to the really, really bad places. We're going to the outskirts of those bad places, the kind of places that are getting forgotten. But the really bad places, they're retrieving a lot of bodies, and we got to get going. The plan is to get back tonight. Also, we keep on hearing about that there are people robbing and hijacking people who are coming in to bring products and to bring relief.
Desperate.
I can assure you, if that happens to us, they're going to wish they picked somebody else.
You guys later. So we just got about $2,200 worth of deli meats, bread, and we're gonna go try to grab that propane, a bunch of coolers, and we got a bunch of ice. That's going to rescue workers. They're just distributing that everywhere. Okay. So that's huge. Butane and propane, they can use them all, and they have them all. That's what they have, and that's what they use. I bought a bunch of hot dogs. We'll buy a bunch more hot dogs. We buy burgers and burger buns. I mean, who's gonna turn that down? Right? That's what I'm saying. You know? All right, cool. I'll let you know the ETA when we have one. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right, later. All right, so it's about noon. We got Klaus.
about as loaded up as we could get him with all this stuff. We got a lot of stuff. Hopefully they really like this. It's really good. Hopefully this goes to help somebody out. We gotta move because they said they're gonna close the drop-off facility at 6, and according to roads keep on changing. That's why it's getting real goofy, but the roads that we can go on are constantly being closed, shut down, and some of our roads are being open. So hopefully we make it there in good time. What do you think, Joe?
I think we should make really good time.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff.
We do.
Let's get everybody fed. We will make it home tonight, even if tonight is 5 in the morning.
So
even
sad.
if tonight is Saturday, next Saturday. We'll drop off this load of stuff, even if it's on the side of the road.
It's getting delivered in North Carolina.
North Carolina will get this stuff. It's like you think that's a river. That was Main Street. Everybody's probably house right there. They're starting their burn piles.
Y'all trying to get to 70?
You came from there?
Do you have another route to get through? We're trying to get down.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
I had to let everybody know.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
2 tractor trailers decided to take on this road?
Yeah.
There's no way. Of course they're gonna get stuck. Every single turn they're gonna get stuck. I heard it's not looking good up there.
Are you planning on going all the way through?
We were hoping.
Thinking about it.
Can't get all the way through.
Those trucks are still up there?
2 tractor trailers down there.
Is there a spot up here that widens up to turn around?
Yeah, you can turn around right up there.
If we head back and we just go back
stuff makes me
down Lower
emotional.
Paint Creek Road, but we just have to turn around and go, take a little longer.
Don't go too far though. We just gotta find a place to turn around, and it's nothing's looking that good, to be honest.
I was
So
trucking
on one
out
side
trying
we
to
got
get stuff to
a
people. I
wall,
would try.
and the other side we gotta drop like this.
To get through that road.
Up here it looks like it's not a drop anymore.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Might be a spot up here.
This was
Might
blocked
take a
off.
little bit, but holy shnikes.
All we need is just a little tiny trail.
Yeah, just go off-road. and just keep-
Alright. We gotta get Alright, so we're kind of back in the same park, and this should get us to North Carolina. And hopefully there's no semi trucks that tried to do this. Let's say we could get across this.
Like cinder block houses floating and
That's
swirling.
possible. Crazy.
Sinking.
Potentially reckless. But this, we can't get across that. All right, now we got to backtrack. Probably about 45 minutes, and we got to find a place we can turn around. We're running out of daylight. Well, good news is now we're driving forward.
Right.
That's good.
That is good.
All right, so we're back. We learned 2 ways how not to get to North Carolina. That way up there and that way up here. We probably wasted about an hour and a half doing it. Joe, you got a plan?
No.
Okay.
It won't give us directions, no server. Get to the 70 and at least find out for ourselves. That's the next major highway, our best shot. North Carolina's trying to keep us out.
If it was up to me, I'd say we turn back around. You can't stop Klaus. Klaus won't let us turn back around. So we're doing this. All right, I just got a text from Seth. I don't think we're going to do it tonight. I'll get you an address to drop stuff off. We got blocked on several roads trying to get out there for over an hour, and nobody's picking up their phone. We're still trying to find a route there to scope it. We're good when you get off of 26, and then he gives us the route.
See that power line right over us?
Holy cow.
Dude, that got close to us.
That got real close.
Statewide, there are some 280,000 customers still without power, we are being told. If you are in need of food and water, help is coming in from all over the country. Distribution sites are coming online each day. As far as search and rescue, that is ongoing. Hundreds of people are still unaccounted for. Pinder says landslides that washed out bridges are hindering crews.
We know we have pockets of people who are isolated due to landslides and bridges out.
Boil water advisories in effect until further notice.
You guys looking for some stuff?
Yeah.
We got some. What up, Seth?
We did it, Joe.
We did it. We did it, Sean.
We did it.
8.5 hours.
Stuff. They were pumped. They were so pumped. You know what? I really think they were pumped about the propane.
Yeah.
Like those squishmallows.
How are you supposed to cook
Squishmallows
food,
and Hot
man?
Wheels, that's what it was.
Squishmallows.
We just got back this morning at 3 o'clock. Drove all night long. Wanted to get back. Me and Joe needed to get back to our families. We told our wives we were gonna be home at 5 o'clock for dinner time. That didn't happen. I don't know. My wife was texting me and calling me, and she's like, I'm reading all this stuff online, and they're saying this, and this, and I don't know what's going on over there. All I can tell you is my experience of what was happening. And one, the community is coming together. People are helping people. That's all I saw. The churches were totally stepping up, letting people use their facilities. Most of the churches there were being used as a hub to distribute everything else out. The fire station's the same thing. Just people helping people out. That's all I saw. It was also my experience that it was extremely hard to get in to North Carolina, to that area of North Carolina. Now, we never got into the actual Asheville part. We were around it. And there's a lot of bad stuff was happening, and it's not the focus of the major players, but they still needed help. The other thing was GPS was completely giving us wrong information. We were, there was one moment that you saw that we went 45 minutes on a dirt road that was supposed to take us to where we needed to go, and it was blocked off. If we were towing a trailer, we'd still be there, because there's no possible way that we'd be able to turn around or back up a windy road like that with a trailer. And then the road that we needed to be on, GPS was telling us, don't go on this road, it's blocked, big red line, you can't go on it. As soon as we get on it, it was the nicest, cleanest. There wasn't a leaf on this road. It was perfectly clean. So I think there's something going on where GPS is trying to keep the truckers off. But then the truckers are getting on the roads that they shouldn't be on. I'm not sure why it's happening. But roads were constantly becoming open, and then roads becoming shut off because something was blocked. So just figure, if you're going to go in there, I'll talk about how you can help later in a second. But just like, you have to adapt very, very fast. One, there's still a lot of hurting people in there. There's still people who are trapped. And I think we're gonna look back and see this is one of the most catastrophic hurricanes in the past 20, 30, 40 years. So there's still a lot of need, and over the next couple weeks, this is just normal, this is how it is. We all stop noticing it. The news is not really talking about it very much, and we all go back to our regular lives. They're definitely going to need your help. The community's really stepping up. I even heard on the radio that a local well drilling company, so everyone's needing water, people are bringing water, that's awesome, but then it's getting used up so fast because they need water for everything, that a local well drilling company was like, well, they went to a church and they went to a school and they just drilled a new well. And they tapped into the underground water, which is still clean. They put a filtration system on it. Bam, that well they drilled.
And that's questionable too, because there's two different plants, one above, one below, both plastic plants, and these got flooded and went into the rivers, etc., etc. Like, these things pollute the waters, even underground tables. It's pretty bad.
They drilled in a day. It's providing tens of thousands of gallons to the community. So they're just going to keep on drilling wells. This is really cool stuff. Our original goal, the first time going down there, was to see if we could make it down there and to bring some supplies. The next time, I saw a need. We had the time. we wanted to bring some more supplies. We will probably go down again and do more, and I'm probably going to be asking for you guys for some help, and so we can get more stuff. But you know, just, I haven't figured that out yet. If you guys want to help, there's five things that you can do that are very important, and this is based off of my experience of going down there and talking to people. One, prayer. Like you can pray. Prayer is important. Prayer is real. Two, the easiest thing you could possibly do is just if you can donate money. Don't donate money to me. I don't want your money. I recommend Wings of Compassion. That's Jimmy from Jimmy's World. That's his organization. He made that a couple years ago. Every dollar, he doesn't need the money because none of it goes to him. Every dollar goes to helping people out. That's what I want to see. There's no bureaucratic nonsense. All the money goes to help people out. There'll be a link below. He's raising money for that too. I know Jimmy personally, and I know that's a legitimate thing, and that all the money, every penny you send to there is going to go to someone to helping someone out, like in real time. Two, if you want to bring stuff, if you want to collect stuff, see the surrounding area is getting exhausted because all the stuff got destroyed in that one area. An hour out, 2 hours out is getting exhausted. There's no gas. They're missing a lot of stuff. So if you live 3, 4, 5 hours away, all the stuff is available. And now that the dock worker strike is not a thing anymore, everything should be available. So if you want to help, if you want to bring stuff, connect with a local, connect with your local group, your church, whatever, and then connect with an organization or another church.
Definitely. I'm going to pause there for a second because I do have to say goodbye to my Spreaker peeps. So let's go ahead and head over there. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight with Storytime with me, TessaTNT. We had a good time reading mostly Harmless by Mr. Douglas Adams. Pretty good time. Had by me. Hopefully by you too. I apologize again to my Spreaker peeps, man. I feel like Dookie, like leaving you guys tuning again. It's like, come on, get it together, sister. But, wow, I think I didn't unmute it at that point because I was picking up on something and I didn't want it to come through, and then I thought I pressed it, then I didn't. Anyways, thank you to all my friends on We Are Paradox Medias, Facebook, Keep You Know Radio, Twitter, Twitch, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you can think of to listen to us, you can find us. Also, don't be scared. Mosey on over to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like any video you watched or listened to, and yeah, leave us a like. Leave us a comment, whether good or bad. Until next time, night night, little night, to my viewers. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Please don't work too hard. Please send those prayers and positive energies out to people that have been affected by Hurricane Helene. We don't even know the complete damage yet. The numbers are way higher than we are assuming at this point, but there's no way to really guesstimate it. But yeah, put that positive energy and prayers out there if you could. Night night, live night. Take care of my use. I'll see you back here. Same crazy time, same crazy place next weekend.